Good morning, world. This is Cedric and Brian. As you can see, my partner Brian is not here. He's been replaced by our mascot O'Malley. He's a good fella. Anyway, Brian is tired. He's tired, so I said I'll go solo today and just speak from the heart and talk to my viewers and subscribers out there and let you guys know what's going on as we face this time of separation and strife. But I hope you enjoyed today's show. Just me speaking from my heart, speaking to you. So, I'm Cedric. This is O'Malley. And this is Cedric and Brian. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining in today. We're going to make this real quick. I'm just going to share a few of my thoughts with you. I'm a little tired. I'm a little beat up. And the same goes for my partner, Brian, here. And when I say partner, I say my friend, who is happily married to his wife. But he's a little tired. He's a little beat up. And he said, Cedric, I just can't do it today. Can you do it? I said, sure. He said, what are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know, Brian, but there's a lot of things that have been weighing on my heart lately. Most of you know we just had the presidential debate last night. And that was quite the show. It was quite the circus. And I don't know if it did anything more to galvanize us as a people or if it did more to pull us apart. And I think that's starting to wear on me. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure it's starting to wear on a lot of you as well. We used to be just one people, united. And now we keep getting further and further away from that. So I want to talk a little about separation and strife and what causes separation. Growing up as I did in Los Angeles, California, I grew up in a melting pot near the 10 in Fairfax, highly concentrated Jewish area, had Hispanic friends, white friends, black friends from all over. And you really don't think about being separated until you get older. I grew up listening to certain types of music, R&B, rap, and there was that misconception that if you grew up listening to that, why would someone like me listen to rock, classic rock, heavy metal, things of that nature? As I got older and got into middle school and high school, I had friends, black friends, who listened to classic rock, heavy metal, things of that nature. And I started to realize it's okay to be different. It's okay to think outside the box. And the box for me was, how am I supposed to think as a black person? And I started thinking as I got older, am I supposed to have a certain way to think as a black person? Why can't I just think independently? Also, growing up in LA, there are certain things I just gravitated to, and a lot of that's part of my nurture. Growing up in LA, growing up as a Lakers fan, diehard Lakers fan, although I'm not watching any games right now due to Black Lives Matter and the movement. Hopefully after this season and then things settle down, I'll get back to watching again next year. But I was taught, and that word is very important, I was taught that I shouldn't like Celtics fans. Because if you know about basketball back in the 80s, the Lakers and the Celtics were highly competitive, and they were led by a white man by the name of Larry Bird, who I came to find out later, which also helped me to realize my thinking was really misguided. When he retired, it was really kind of emotional for me. I missed the man, and I realized that missing him was a sign of respect. And I said, why can't I like a white basketball player if he has the skills to compete? Not going to get too deeply into it. Growing up as a Protestant, have a lot of friends who are Catholic. I have some friends who are atheists, some friends who are agnostic. They have their beliefs. I have my beliefs, but there's no reason why we can't get together and share and break bread and talk about the issues that are going on without hating each other. So I want to talk about a word here about nurture, and I want to read this here so I don't misconstrue it. I looked up the concept, why do we like what we like? And it says there is nurture, which is the environment surrounding you, which contains the family, friends, and socioeconomic side of the society in which you live. So that was the nurturing side of me. I was nurtured to believe certain things. And if you guys have watched any of our previous videos, I was led to believe that I had to vote Democratic because I was black. Now, please don't turn this off. I am not saying that if you're a Democrat, stop watching this, but I just want to stress to you the importance of being aware of what's influencing you and how you're heavily influenced. So as I said before, my dad grew up in Mississippi. My mom grew up in Alabama. They grew up during the heights of the civil rights movement. And that's when the Democratic Party really portrayed itself as being about the black family. And then I started doing some thinking of my own as I graduated from high school and then went on to college and got married and started my own family. It was almost taboo to even think about voting differently. Because if you voted differently, you got this scowl, you got this look, you got this incredulous look that said, how dare you step away from your family, the black family. But then I started thinking what they're really about, and the separation of mom and dad, and how more dads were leaving the home, and how certain things were put in place like welfare that made it easier for black women to stay single and to keep mating and having children without a father being around. Like most of you, my age, growing up in the 80s, the Cosby Show really resonated with me. And it portrayed a very intelligent, well-liked black family. Cliff and Claire Huxtable, with Cliff being a doctor and Claire being a lawyer. And I kind of looked at that and said, wow, that's the type of family I would like to be a part of, and like the type of family I would like to have once I'm married. They never said their political agenda on the show, and I think they did that intentionally, but they had a lot of conservative family values. And I looked at the values of my life and how I wanted things to be, and in the priority things, for me, it was God, country, family, work. And I think I did a pretty good job in trying to maintain those values to my family growing up, as my 3 kids are out on their own now and doing their own thing. Going back to what I was saying before, people would look at me as I exposed myself to different things in high school, and they would say, well, that's strange. I said, well, why is that strange? They said, well, you're black. So therefore, it was strange that I like to ski, that I like to swim. Yes, I do swim. That I enjoy playing golf from time to time, even though I'm terrible at it, and I sold my last set of clubs. And here's the kicker, if you're ready to believe this or not, I do like country music. Now, I do like R&B, I love rap, I love all the things that are associated with the black culture, but I said it's okay to like different things and not have a difference of opinion about it. So I guess that brought me to my political stance. As I learned more and read more and associated with more people who didn't think like I thought, I found out something very cool. I started to learn something. Because when you're doing all the talking, it's hard to learn. Because the problem of being a know-it-all is that you know it all, and there's really nothing else for you to learn. So I said, let me check out what's going on this side, and then pick up some books and read some literature and find out what this conservative party is all about. And the more I learned about it, the more I started to gravitate toward that side, and the easier it became for me to speak my mind and feel comfortable doing it. When Brian approached me back in November of 2019 and said, hey, Cedric, we've been talking about this for a few years. You and I need to do a YouTube show. I really had to think about that for a second, because I really had to become galvanized in the fact, do I really believe what I believe to be true, to be comfortable enough to put it out there, to experience ridicule, being mocked, being ostracized? And I said, you know what? Yes, I do. Because I think you don't, until you learn to step out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there to be ridiculed by people, you really don't believe what you believe. It's easy to stay in a corner, stay tucked away, and kind of say, well, yeah, I believe this, but I really don't want to share it with anybody. And I think I shared this in a video a few weeks back where I've had the opportunity, and I want to look at it as an opportunity, not as a bad thing, to come under criticism from people who are close to me and complete strangers who have called me Uncle Tom, sellout, coon, Uncle Charlie, tried to bow down to the man, etc., etc. I've even been called a white supremacist, which is really awkward because I thought part of being a white supremacist was that you had to be white. Don't try and change the filter on your camera. As you can see, I'm not. But it's been a blessing to me to do this YouTube video and share with you, and I've become close with some of you in the comments. If you guys have not only the negative comments, but I've received a lot of encouragement. And some of you are going to say, well, of course you received encouragement from the white people. That's where you're wrong. I've received encouragement from people of all different races, black, Hispanic, women, who sees the way I see it. And say, you know what, Cedric, you really kind of inspired me. And I actually me and Brian were talking about this today. I had one lady respond to me on our TikTok. She goes, I really want to put your latest video on my Instagram feed, but I have to see how many friends I'm going to lose. And here's the thing that I realized, that as long as you're stretching, as long as you're growing, you're going to leave some people behind. And I think as long as you're stretching and you're growing and you're reaching for new heights, things are going to change in your life, whether that be thoughts, habits, things that you do, and yes, even friends who you thought were in your inner circle. But hopefully, and Brian and I have talked about this a lot, hopefully you get to a point where you can sit down, you can discuss your differences without it fracturing the friendship and saying, you know what, you go your way, I go my way. And say, you know what, no, you believe what you believe. And I know this is really petty and trivial, but when I talked about earlier being a Lakers fan, can I sit down with a Celtics fan and talk basketball? Absolutely. I'm a Denver Broncos fan. This is going to hurt to say. I can sit down with Raiders fans. I have two of my friends. They're Raider fans, and we have like a text message group setting where we just talk trash every Sunday. Again, I'm not watching the games, but they are the first ones to let me know when the Broncos aren't doing well. And we laugh about it, and we giggle about it, and we have a good time with it. And the next day, we're friends again. Why can't we have this during this time of this strife that we're dealing with, this political climate? There are people who are in the Biden camp. There are people who are in the Trump camp. At the end of the day, after this election is over, November 3rd, November 4th, once the ballots are all cast, we are all still one big family. We're going to have to learn how to get together. Make sure that your family unit, which I will call the state, is intact. What happens with the federal government at large, there's not too much we can do about that anyway. And I heard a great saying once that I'm going to repeat here. It doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing. It's all about who's flying that plane in the middle. So as long as you're flying your plane in the middle and you're taking care of your family, you're going to work, and hopefully it's not going to affect our tax dollars, how much money is being taken out of our pocket, then everything else should be okay. The flying of the flags, I'm team this, I'm team that. At the end of the day, whether you want to believe it or not, we're all the same team. So to reiterate once again, after all the dust settles November 3rd, and we go back to our daily lives, and it's just my personal opinion, I have a weird feeling that once this election is over, we're going to find this cure for COVID, and that things are going to be okay, and things are going to be back in the groove, and hopefully we can do it with the masks and things of that nature. But as you guys have seen our show, Brian is a white American, I'm a black American, and as we told you guys many times, we don't see each other that way. We see each other as Americans. Brian and I are truly family. We've known each other for 20 years, and we don't see each other as black and white. And that's the main message. I think that's the crux of what I'm trying to get across to you guys today, as my buddy is sick and he's not feeling well. Let's drop the hatred. Let's stop the evil speak. Let's stop hiding behind messages on social media and insulting other people for how they believe and how they live. And let's try and come from a position of understanding, where I understand where you're coming from. Tell me more about that. But at the same time, I want you to understand where I'm coming from. And at the end of the day, if we don't mesh in some areas, that's okay, because I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to slap you a high five out there at the football game or on the soccer field. And I wish you would do the same thing for me. So if you guys could just do that, we're going to sign off here now.
Hey.
And
you ready?
So until next time.
Did you start without me? Did he start? Did he do an episode without me?
Make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, and the comment section. I need to have one question answered. I've been thinking about going solo. If you guys think I should go solo, please put that in the comment section, because I can't work under these conditions. And maybe we should just have Cedric and O'Malley and make it the Cedric and O'Malley show, because it seems I get to speak more when O'Malley is here anyway. What do you think, O'Malley? You think so? And besides, a lot better looking than Brian. So anyway, thank you guys for letting me share. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and share this video with everyone you know. And I'm going to start saying this with every video from now on, coming up in November. Make sure you get out there and vote. It's very important for you to get out there and vote. Until next time, I'm Cedric. That was Brian, but this is O'Malley. And we'll see you later.